Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and you might notice that I am in a little different spot than I normally am. And that is because we are house sitting for my parents while they are away. So that being said, I have a limited amount of books with me, and so I thought I would put all of the books that I have access to into a spinner wheel, and that is how we will pick our books for this next week. Now, I apologize that I didn't have one for last week. I got behind on things and got busy with things, and it's just been a crazy couple of weeks. So here I am now though, and I am back and I am ready to start reading. Okay, so I don't have a ton of things here, but this spinner wheel does include a handful of books that I brought with me. Most of those are from my TBR for May. I also have books that my husband just got me for Mother's Day, so those are priority ones that I really want to pick up soon. I have a couple I've picked up since I've been here, 2 from a little free library, and 1 is a new release. And I added in some that are on my parents' shelves that I would also be interested in reading to just add a little bit of extra fun to it. There are some books that my mom has, like the second Emily Wilde, for example, that I would like to read at some point, and this might be my perfect opportunity to do so. So I added that into the spinner wheel as well. So with that being said, I think I'm going to spin 3 times, pick out 3 books, hopefully read all of those here in the next week, and then we might end up doing the same thing next week. I have no idea yet, but I'm just gonna kind of roll with it and see how things go. I said that I needed a reset for May, and I guess this is one way to do it because all of my TBR or video plans have kind of gone down the tubes. So I tried the first 2 weeks of this month to do a random number generator TBR jar challenge before coming here, and I DNF'd books. I took too long to read books, and we just had too much going on. It just didn't happen. So, like I said, so with all that being said, let's pick out our first 3 books. All right, we have The Last Heir of Blackwood Library. Okay, this is one of my mom's books. I don't know what it's about. I believe it's by Hester Fox. That might not be right, but I will grab that here in a minute. So that will be our first read, so that's very fun. Next up, we have The Searcher. This is actually one that I just picked up this morning. It's by Tana French, and thought I would try it. I've never tried any of her writing before, but I know she's a very popular author, so I thought I would try it out, and so I guess I'll be picking that one up. And last up, let it focus, and we'll spin. Oh, we have Emily Wilde. Okay, so that's Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. This one is also one of my mom's. She read it. She absolutely loved it. Gave it 5 stars for both of the books in the series, I believe. I read the first book and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 to 4.5 stars. I felt like the ending in that one was just a little bit too rushed, but I am super excited to get back into this world with Emily Wilde and what's his name? I don't remember, but I'm gonna go grab the books. I will be right back. I might have to change my battery in the process, so I will be right back. So I think this is a really great stack to start things out with. I'm not reading anything off of my TBR, but I'm okay with that. I'm still continuing on in a series. I'm reading from an author that I've read from before, but these are the first 3 books. So first up, we have Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett. This is the second one to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Like I said, I read this a while back and gave it 4 to 4.5 stars. Says, when mysterious fairies from other realms appear at her university, curmudgeonly Professor Emily Wilde must uncover their secrets before it's too late in this heartwarming, enchanting second installment of the Emily Wilde series. Now, I'm not going to read a lot about this because it is the sequel, but the first one, she goes up to a northern town. I think it's like, I don't know, it gives like Nordic or like Icelandic, like northern vibes. and she is trying to write an encyclopedia about the fairies that live in that area. And she has her rival Bamblebee, that's his name. She has her rival Bamblebee show up and cause kind of a little bit of chaos for her while they're there. And at the same time, he's kind of helping her, and at the same time not. And she's looking at the fairies in this area. She's making friends with the people that live in this town. And it was just a really great story. I'm really excited to continue with this. I've been wanting to get to it for a while, and I just haven't because I haven't bought it. And I didn't buy it partly because my mom did. So this is a perfect chance to pick this one up and read this. Like I said, I know my mom really enjoyed it. I know I really enjoyed the first one. So I'm very excited to pick this one up. Next up, we have The Last Heir to Blackwood Library by Hester Fox. I previously read, I don't remember what it's called. I will put a picture of it up here, but I've previously read a book from Hester Fox before, and I gave it like 3.5 to 4 stars. I think I sent that one to my sister, now that I think about it, actually. But it was a historical fantasy, so I'm very excited to try this one out as well. It says, in post-World War I England, a young woman inherits a mysterious library and must untangle its powerful secrets. With the stroke of a pen, 23-year-old Ivy Radcliffe becomes Lady Hayworth, owner of a sprawling estate on the Yorkshire moors. Ivy has never heard of Blackwood Abbey or of the ancient bloodline from which she's descended. With nothing to keep her in London since losing her brother in the Great War, she warily makes her way to her new home. The Abbey is foreboding, the servants reserved and suspicious, but there is a treasure waiting behind locked doors, a magnificent library. Despite cryptic warnings from the staff, Ivy feels irresistibly drawn to its dusty shelves, where familiar works mingle with strange historic texts, and she senses something else in the library too, a presence that seems to have a feel of its own. Rumors swirl in the village about the Abbey's previous owners, about ghosts and curses and an enigmatic manuscript at the center of it all. And as events grow more sinister, it will be up to Ivy to uncover the library's mysteries in order to reclaim her own story before it vanishes forever. Lush, atmospheric, and transporting, The Last Heir to Blackwood Library is a skillful reflection on memory and female agency and a love letter to books from a writer at the height of her power. So it sounds really, really good. And like I said, I liked the book that I read from her. Oh, The Book of Thorns, that's what it's called. I enjoyed The Book of Thorns by Hester Fox when I read it. Part of the reason that I gave it a lower rating was because it was a why choose kind of romance aspect to it. And it really threw me for a loop, and I thought it was a little bit unbelievable for the circumstance, which is why I brought the rating down. But I am very excited to pick up something else by Hester Fox, and it's even more fun because it's one of my mom's books. I don't think that she's read this one yet, so I might be beating her to the punch with this one. I'm not sure. And last but not least, we have one that I picked up at a little free library this morning. I took a bunch of books to get rid of that I've had in the back of my truck for the last month when I was taking the kids up to school. And that is The Searcher for Tana French. And it says, Cal Hooper thought a fixer-upper in a remote Irish village would be the perfect escape. After 25 years in the Chicago police force and a bruising divorce, he just wants to build a new life in a pretty spot with a good pub where nothing much happens. But when a local kid whose brother has gone missing arm twists him into investigating, Cal discovers that even in the most idyllic small town, dangerous secrets lie hidden, and trouble can come calling at his door. This one is one of the greatest crime novelists writing today, weaves a masterful atmospheric tale of suspense, asking how to tell right from wrong in a world where neither is simple, and what we stake on that decision. That sounds so good. Oh my God, I didn't finish reading the description. All I read was that he got a fixer-upper in a remote Irish village, and I thought that was so fun. And so that sounds so good. I've heard such amazing things about this author, so I'm really excited to try something. So now the question is, which one of these do I start with? But this has a fantastic aesthetic with all those greens. Look at that. How beautiful is that? That is so perfect. So now the question is which do I start with? I think the one that I'm most drawn to is actually The Searcher. Just a little bit kind of a mystery, and I don't know. I'm going to try out all three of them though, and I will decide which one to start with, and I will come back and give you some updates once I have some initial thoughts on one of these three books. I'm so excited. guys. So it's been a couple of days since I updated you, but I have been doing some reading. So I started The Searcher by Tana French. Why did I think that was Donna Tartt?
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Mom.
So I made it up to chapter 4 in this book, which is about 55 pages into this one. And I think this one might be just a little bit too slow for me. I feel like I'm only really following like half of what's going on, and half of it I just don't really care about. So I don't know if I want to continue this one or not. So I had it in my head that this was Donna Tartt, not Tana French. I don't know why that is. I apparently totally had a brain fart and just, I thought this was something totally different. Either way, this one isn't bad. The writing style in this is very descriptive, and it is a writing style that I do normally like. However, I think this is just a little bit too slow for me right now, and it's not what I'm wanting. So I think with this one, I am actually going to probably take it back to a little free library, because it's not something that was on my radar, and it's not something that hooked me right away like I hoped it would. So I don't know if I don't think that I'm going to continue on with this one. I know that it's supposed to be like a mystery crime ex-cop thing, but I'm not normally super into those. I was hoping that this one would kind of catch my eye and get me hooked in, but it's just not. So there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just not invested in it. So I am going to set this one aside. And afterwards, I ended up picking up Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. This is by Heather Fawcett. It's the second book to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I am officially up to 130 pages into this now. And it took me longer than I expected to get back into this writing style and this world. She is, I mean, it's set in the 1800s. Does it say what year? Oh, sorry. It's set in 1910. And the writing style obviously is trying to reflect that. And not to mention the fact that Emily Wilde is a scholar and she is very, very smart in her profession. But it takes a minute to kind of get used to that writing style again. Now that I'm further along, they have made it to where they're looking for doors, fairy doors, or doors into the fairy realm, and now I'm definitely more intrigued. And it took me a minute to kind of remember characters and their little quirks and stuff, and to pick up on that banter again. And now that I'm getting into that, I'm starting to really enjoy it more. I also am remembering and really liking the relationship between Emily and Bamblebee, because they're both so quirky, and they're just kind of, he's very overconfident, and she is just kind of irritated by it, and irritated by him at times, but at the same time she just really cares about him, and they are cute together. And so yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. Right now, I can't say too much about this book because it is book 2, but they are, like I said, looking for fairy doors. They are, I believe, in Austria, and so this is taking place in another small mountain town, and it's kind of like the first one, except not quite as cold. And I'm really excited to see kind of where their adventures take them. So I am I'm nearly halfway. It looks like less than that when I hold it up. So I'm about a third of the way through this book, and I am enjoying it a lot. Like I said, I gave the first book, I think 4 or 4.5 stars. I liked it. I thought it was really good, but I felt like it was super duper rushed at the end. This one, I fear, is potentially going to go the same direction. It's just a really kind of slow, frolicking through type of book, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like the action picked up a lot at the end of the first book and kind of went wild, when I think this one is going to do the same, and I'm a little bit worried for that. But I am really enjoying this. I like the writing style. I like the characters. I think they're just, like I said, they're fun. They're fun and they're just kind of different, you know? They're not your usual characters, and I have a really good time with it. And so yeah, I'm gonna continue reading this one. I might stop on my way up to the school and drop this one off at a different little free library. I haven't decided yet, but like I said, I just don't think this is really gonna be my thing. So I am going to continue this one. I have not started the other book yet, so this video is pretty much going to turn into stealing my mom's books and reading them while I'm staying here, which is totally fine with me because it's kind of fun. And this is one that I've been wanting to pick up for a while. So I'm going to keep reading this, and I will come back and give you some more updates when I have some more thoughts on this one. I'm really nervous, but I'm very excited to see where this one goes. So yeah, I'm going to go continue reading. I have to head up to the school here pretty quick to pick up my kids. Their last day of school is coming up, which so quickly, and so we don't have very much left. But I'm going to be leaving to go up there soon, and of course I always take my book with me. So hopefully I will make some more progress in this afternoon, but we'll see what happens. My reading has been just absolutely haywire and all over the place this month, and I'm hoping that I can kind of get into a rhythm and do better. But for the time being, I am enjoying myself, and it's fun being back in this world. So I will check back in with you guys later on. Hey, what's up guys? So it is now Monday, and I finally finished Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands, and I am giving this one 4 stars. I like these books overall, but when it comes down to it, I feel like the first 80% of the book, and I thought the same thing with the first one, the first 80% of the book is just a really kind of slower paced exploration of the country that they're in and the fae that they're encountering and things like that. And then like the last 20%, things go haywire. It becomes just kind of a mess of confusion and her going into one realm or another of the fairies and getting confused. And I understand that that's the point, is that she's getting confused, and so because this is technically journal entries, she's trying to convey what's happening, but it's all kind of cloudy and muddled in her mind, and I understand that. However, it's not, there's something about it I don't like. I feel like I'm not following it as I'm reading it, and so it feels very like mixed up and muddled in my mind, and I don't love that. So this book they're in Germany or Austria. So in this book, we are continuing on with the story of Emily and Wendell. Emily is making a book that is a map of the other lands, or trying to, and they encounter once again a small town and just a lot of different fae of many different forms. Very different forms. We see Poe come back from the first book, which I loved that, and some old friends from the first book, and I really enjoyed that. But overall, this book, there's just something about it that I feel like it takes me forever to read them, and they're really slow paced, and then you get to that last 20% and it's just a lot happening all at once. So I did enjoy this book. I would like to see what happens in the third one, but they're not my favorite. They don't quite get all the way there like I want it to, and I think it's that ending. It's that slow beginning and then that crazy muddled ending is what gets me in this book. But I did enjoy it, and I gave it 4 stars. So later on today, or hopefully before I go up to the school for the last day of school, I am going to start The Last Heir of Blackwood Library. Now this one is by Hester Fox. I originally read The Book of Thorns by her, and I did enjoy that one, but it wasn't my favorite. It was Why Choose, and I was not expecting that. So we'll see how this one goes. So I'm not going to read the synopsis for you because I believe I already did. But I am going to start this one today, hopefully get a little chunk of the way through it before I need to get going up to the school for some last day of school festivities for my kids. And I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited to try it out and read some of this. So I will check back in with you with some of my initial thoughts of this one. And yeah. Hey, what's up guys? So I'm sorry this is not the flattest surface, but I am trying to film in a quieter room in the house but I didn't update you yesterday, even though I meant to. I binge read this over the last couple of days and I finished it this morning, but I will come back to that. The first book that I started this video with was The Searcher by Tana French. I don't know why. For some reason, I had it in my head that this book was by Donna Tartt, and I was hoping that I would be able to try one of her books without it being quite as intimidating as A Secret History, but I realized in, I think it was my last clip that I filmed, that that is actually not the case, or one of the last clips that I filmed. Not the case, not the same author, totally different circumstance. And I read the first 55 pages of this book and I thought it was fine, but it was just so incredibly slow paced and I felt like I was only following like half of what was happening. And I just didn't care. I wasn't really invested. And then I found out that it wasn't the author that I thought it was. And so I just kind of lost interest. So I did DNF this one 55 pages in. I got this one from a little free library, so I'm not super torn up about it. I'm just going to take it back to another little free library and I'm not going to hang on to it. But that is the book that I started this video with. The next book that I picked up for this video was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. This is book 2 to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I gave the first book 4.5 stars. I gave this one 4 stars, but I've really gone back and forth of dropping it down to a 3.5 because this book felt like I was rereading the first book all over again. And while I enjoyed the first book when I originally read it, I didn't need a repeat of it. And this book was really fun and it's got all the quirks of the original one. And of course things were slightly different. I loved seeing a couple of characters come back from the first book. But it was the same thing as with the first one, that I felt like the first 80% of the book was just a slower pace, kind of slowly working our way through the book and getting a lot of descriptions and a lot of character work and stuff like that. And then the last 20%, the whole thing becomes a frazzled mess of action and everything coming together, and I just didn't care for that. Even when I read the first book, I didn't like that. I felt like it was too quick, felt like it was too much to follow all at once, and I just wasn't super into it. And this did the exact same thing. So I enjoyed this one. It was fine. I think, like I said, I'm gonna drop it down to a 3.5. I did enjoy it. However, it was basically just about a carbon copy of the first book to me. And I feel like if I do continue on in this series, it's probably going to be borrowing the book from my mom or from the library or whatever the case may be. But I'm not going to buy this one. This one is my mom's copy of it, and I know she loves these books. And so I know she wants to continue on in this series when it comes out in paperback, and I might just borrow it from her. But overall, it was fine. And I thought it was a decent read, but it's just not something that I'm super invested in continuing on with anytime soon. And so it was like 3.5 to 4 stars for me. And then last up, I picked up The Last Heir of Blackwood Library by Hester Fox. I have read another book by Hester Fox before, and that was The Book of Thorns. This one, I absolutely loved the first half of this book. It had the gothic vibes, the old haunted house, the magical realism that there's like a curse on the family. This book, sorry, let me back up. This book is following Ivy Radcliffe, and Ivy Radcliffe she just lives like a normal life. She's not very rich. She's kind of making ends meet. Her and her best friend Susan are just kind of making ends meet in London. And then she finds out that she has inherited an old abbey from a long lost cousin that she's never met. And she is actually going to become Lady Hayworth. And so she moves to this abbey, and then she finds out that the last owner, the Lord Hayworth that lived here before, lost his memories. He had dementia and he passed away fairly young. I believe he was only in his late 40s, early 50s. And so he passed away fairly young, and she found out that there's actually connections between this house and the library and this curse. And it's looking into that and exploring that. She feels like she might be starting to not quite remember things the way that they're supposed to be, or having chunks of time that are just missing. And she's trying to figure out what's going on. Well, like I said, first 50% of this book, I was loving it. I was eating this shit up. It had the perfect gothic vibes, had the haunted house, had the curse and the magical realism, and it's absolutely for a book lover because it's talking about books and her love of books and bookstores and wanting to share that with people. But my problem was the second half of this book fell off the bandwagon entirely. I told my husband it was basically like Frozen. She meets a guy. She's like, oh my God, you like books too? That's fantastic. You're a great guy. And then she proceeds to go on a couple of dates with this guy, knows him for 2 weeks. He has a strange fascination with the library and wants to get in there and see it. And she doesn't question that at all, but he has this strange fascination with her library. He ends up proposing to her. She says, oh my God, yes, let's get married. And then, of course, like in Frozen, he betrays her and she's like, oh my God, how could he do this to me? I thought he loved me. And that is really what ruined this book for me. That entire concept of this. Through the first half of this book, it always says that she is a strong woman and she doesn't need help from anybody. She's made it this far. She could do things. And then the second half of this book, she is naive. She's stupid. She's useless. She's helpless. And it's just, it all kind of, like I said, it just fell apart for me halfway through the book. I loved the descriptions in this book. I loved the writing style. The atmosphere in here was so well done. It was so creepy with all the little haunted aspects of it. It was so creepy and I loved it. I ate it up, like I said. But the second half of this, it just fell apart. I thought the story was interesting, but she could have done it in such a different way. And when I can compare it to a Disney movie, that's unfortunate, you know? So I'm ending up giving this one a 3.5 star as well. So I don't know if I'm gonna pick up any more from Hester Fox because I feel like I love her writing style, but her books themselves just don't quite do it for me. And they're just mediocre reads by the time I get done, which really sucks because I do really like her writing. But like I said, overall, I've ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. And so yeah, these are the 3 books that I attempted to read or read this week. These 2 were ones that belong to my mom that are from her shelves. So I was really excited to try them out. And then this was one from a little free library that I picked up. So the spinner wheel did decent. It gave me some really pretty green books and you know, it wasn't a bad week. It was just not 5 stars. This one, it really could have been there. It had 4 5-star feel, like 4.5 to 5-star feels through the beginning, but it just didn't keep that. So that is it for my week of reading. Have you read these books? Did you enjoy them? Or did you think the same thing that I did? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe down below. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you hopefully next week with something else.